We're going to look at some not so good examples. We'll do a good, bad, and ugly in just a minute. Let's go back to irs.gov for a second. I just want to show some interesting things here. You'll notice they have a search bar. And that search bar is if you don't want to waste time looking around. If you just want to skip straight to the heart of things and say, I just need to print out a 1040 EZ form for my taxes, you can just type that into the search and it'll bring it right up. Most websites have some sort of search functionality. I would almost say 100% have search functionalities, especially a big and complicated website like this. And we see exactly like we talked about before, the header, right? There's a header up here. There's some navigation through here. At the very bottom, what do we see? The footer, right? With other contact mechanisms there, right? It's pretty much, it's uniform. You see the difference. A person's private business website has the same essential structure as a government website. All websites are pretty much the same. And this is exactly why knowing how they work is so critical. And there's always those little breadcrumbs, right, that tell us what to do. Here's some other examples. We talked about the hamburger stack. Here's another one. This arrow is pointing you in that direction. So if you click on it, you see how this, let's just watch all this in real time. You see this blue dot and there's a series of dots here. These are called breadcrumbs. Just like Hansel and Gretel, right? It's trying to lead you somewhere. So if these four things aren't really speaking to you and you think maybe there's more information or you're just curious about what the news and announcements are, you just click that and you notice, you see how it moved? That blue dot moved every time you click. See, those are called breadcrumbs. It's giving you a sign. And if we're paying attention, usually we can spot by the breadcrumbs what to do on any website, not just these. These sorts of ideas are universal. It's not just that this website is this way. Every website that's legitimate functions in a similar way. All right. There's a lot more we could talk about. There's lots of menus on here. You know, there's lots of links. We don't want to get bogged down in that. We've got the basics. So going on a website, it's just like going into a well-organized store, right? Everything is orderly. Everything makes sense. It's easy to find what you're looking for. And this is super important, right? It's important that we recognize that there's always a way to navigate safely and confidently. We don't have to be stressed. Now let's do some good and bad and ugly when it comes to websites, right? Because there's plenty of all of them. We'll take an example of a good website. We already saw one in Jordan's website. That's an excellent example of a good website. Good websites are usually organized. They're easy to navigate. There's not anything confusing going on. They're by reputable companies. I'll give you another example of a website that I absolutely love. I've got some conflicting feelings about the brand as of late, but I absolutely love this website. It's a perfect example of not just design, but ease of use. So here's an example of a good website. This is Bon Appetit because I love to cook. I love to eat. And so, you know, if I'm feeling like I want to make something fancy, this is usually the website that I go to. But you'll see it is very easy to use. We see our header up top. We see our search bar. We see our menus here. Very easy to navigate. And when you click on it, it doesn't take you to another tab. It just shows you more information. I love that. So simple. Big images. When they want to tell you something specific, they don't put it in big, bold letters, right? This is just a title. They make it very easy to navigate. I love this website. It is so simple to use. This is an example of a really, really good website. Obviously, there's countless examples of really good ones. That's just one that I particularly enjoy personally. There's also some bad websites out there, and not that they're necessarily nefarious. That people are trying to harm you or scam you on these sites. They're just not very aesthetically pleasing, if that makes sense. They're not clean. Maybe that's the word that we're looking for. Upstanding people, no comment about individuals involved with this company. I just find it to be very unattractive. So this is Berkshire Hathaway's official. This is their official. So if you know Berkshire Hathaway, this is Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest people in the world. This is his website. And literally, this is it. I know it looks like something that was made 35 years ago. I totally understand that it's legitimate. You can see right here, just updated August 2nd, 2025. It's not that it's hard to navigate per se. It just isn't aesthetically pleasing. There's not much navigation. Everything that's on the site is like right here, right? We talked about how messy that there's no other facets to it. There's nothing designed about it. And the simplicity can be appealing, but it's just kind of a lot. I'm not a big fan of that. Maybe you like website. I don't know. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm saying this is an example of what I would call a bad website, simply because it's not designed in a way that is very easy for a user to navigate. Another example of a website that people find to be bad, even though it is one that is very near and dear to my heart, I love it a lot, is Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a bit chaotic. There's just text everywhere, and it's organized technically, but there's just a lot going on here. It has the elements we've talked about. It's got a header. It's got menus here. We see our kebab, right? Get some more information there. We see our hamburger stack, right? Our 3 layers. That gives us some more information there. But there's just so much text, right? And so many links, which is the purpose. It's a giant, encyclopedia. It's designed for you to bounce around and get more information. And it does give you options on how to change it. You can make the text larger or smaller. Those things are true. It's just not really aesthetically pleasing, but a great source for information. Lots of valuable stuff to learn on Wikipedia, but we're talking about the ease of navigation. We wouldn't really call that a website that's easy to navigate. Like we talked about with the phishing emails yesterday, there are a lot of nefarious actors on the internet. However, not every single website is something nefarious, right? Sometimes it's just ugly. Sometimes it's just confusing, but we're going to look at examples of both, not just things that are harmless, but some things that are actually can be annoying, right? You just don't like them. But then also things that are legitimately dangerous. And then we'll talk about some ways to avoid these things. So let's get into the ugly of the internet. First, just some annoying things that happen. So this is an example of something that happens when you're online. They insist on, having cookies, or they insist on getting some information from your computer, and you get this pop-up. You may have just wanted to read an article, and the next thing you know, they've blurred it out and they insist that you agree to share cookies with them. We're not going to get into a long discussion about what cookies are, but it's a way for them to kind of make an online profile for you, so they can, as it says there, they can customize the ads that they share with you. This is really annoying. This is one of the worst things about being on the internet, is when you get websites that do pop-ups like this. For me personally, especially for a news website, if they do things like that, I'm not even going to waste my time. I'm just going to move on to another page that doesn't do that, because it's just really frustrating. And this, usually when they give you these sorts of things, when they're talking about, oh, we will do a personalized ad for you, what they're really saying is we're going to sell your information to companies that do advertising, and they're going to be able to show you what they want you to see in the ads. And we'll talk about how that works in a weird way in just a second. So that's one ugly thing on the internet. There's also this thing at the bottom here. I can't stand stuff like this where they just give you, hey, take a look at my newsletter, get my ebook, give me your email address. This kind of thing is really, really irritating. It kind of messes with your online experience, even when it's a website that you care about, right? There's someone's stuff that you want to read. It can just be really irritating. You'll notice, though, at that bottom, I love that they added this. Don't show this again. I love that. I love when they give me that option. If you're not going to show, don't. Please don't show me that again. Really ugly and annoying thing that they do. Next is sometimes when you're using a mobile application, not just a website, but an application, you'll get something like this where it'll say, oh, can you take a second and rate us? I'm clearly trying to look at my boarding pass. I don't want to give you're going to get a 1 star for putting it right there. And you'll see this happen on all sorts of websites. They'll ask you for information while you're trying to navigate. Really, really frustrating. Don't let it bog you down. You can just click not now and move on. So those are some ugly, but not necessarily nefarious things. However, there is an element that can be nefarious, and our seniors are especially susceptible to this sort of thing. Perhaps you're on a website and you'll see a section like this where there's cards with titles. Oftentimes this happens on news websites, right? So the flow is they ask to give you for permission to collect cookies about you so they can personalize your ads, but then they very carefully mask the fact that they are showing you an ad. You see it's circled and highlighted right here. I tried to make that easy for you to see. But every time you see this sort of thing where there's 4 cards or 10 cards like this at the bottom where it says you might like, this is all ads. This is not legitimate news. This is not legitimate information. These are advertisements for other people that are on this. They're advertising on this website, but they disguise it in such a way that it looks like it's legitimate information. You see how it's described? Look at this one with the fruits and vegetables. Oh, CBS 2 says that this meal service is cheaper than groceries. It's an advertisement for a meal service, right? That's not legitimate news, but they mask it in such a way. This is one of the ugliest things to me that happens on the internet. It really bothers me. So when you're on a website and you see this you might like, in your mind, lock this in, really lock this in. Don't waste your time with this section. It's just advertisements. It's not legitimate. There's oftentimes really dangerous websites linked to these advertisements. Just don't even waste your time down there. It's not where you want to be. The information you want was higher up on the website. I assure you. Yeah, just trust me on that. You don't want anything to do with that part of the website. So some general rules for being safe online, just to recap what we've talked about today. Always check that URL, make sure that it's accurate, especially if you're looking for a government business or a school, right? Make sure it ends in .gov or .edu. Really, really important that we do that. Also, make sure you see that lock on your address bar or that it says HTTPS so that you know the website is secure. Be sure to avoid the pop-ups, right? That say, oh, you've won something. Just ignore it. Same like we talked about in our email yesterday. Exact same concept. We don't want anything to do with that. Stick to sites that you know, right? Or that are recommended to you by people that you really trust. Because again, there's lots and lots of scammers out there. And again, this is my purpose is to protect you from those nefarious people. Just stick to what you know. There's literally trillions of websites. Well, you can't visit them all, and there's no way that all of them are legitimate. And lastly, if you want to remember a website, you want to save it for yourself, just bookmark it. So let's take 10 seconds and we're going to bookmark a web page. So we'll use Jordan's website as an example. I'll show you how to do it on Google Chrome. It is very, very simple. Very, very simple. And it's always simple on any website, no matter what website you're on. At the very top, whether you're on your phone or whether you're on your computer, there's always something like a star or something that looks like a bookmark at the top right of the address bar. If you click that, it just bookmarks it, and then you just say done, and then it's saved forever. You don't have to worry about finding it in the future. You just navigate over here to bookmarks, and there they all are. All your bookmarks will be there. So that's a simple way to keep yourself safe online and to make sure that you're not getting involved in any of these scam sites that are out there.